All right, for everyone joining us here live, just going to give it a minute for a couple people to get logged in. I know there's a couple groups from a few schools that are getting logged in at this point. Okay, we're going to get started. For those of you joining us here live, good morning. Glad you're able to be here. I know it's a little difficult to schedule sometimes to get to do one of these programs live, but for those of you that are watching this recording later, hope you're having a good day as well. And I just want to go over a few things before we turn it over to our program host and we get to, as I call it, the good part of the program. So welcome. This is a YCAL Career Exploration Program. My name is Kevin Apnell. I'm the Executive Director of YCAL. I have my email address and also the YCAL website up there. If you have any general questions about career exploration or any other programs we offer, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And you can also check out our website for some of the other programs that we have, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So today is all about career exploration, and I want to just talk about what that is, what might happen throughout the day today, what might happen afterwards, and why we do this. So today is likely to give you one of three outcomes when it comes to career exploration. Today might tell you that I'm on the right path and I think I know what I want to do, and that's awesome. Today might leave you rather with a couple extra questions that you need to do a little bit more research before you make a decision. Or, and this is not a bad thing, is that it might lead you to say, you know what, this particular career path isn't exactly what I was looking for. I might need to sort of pivot and look at something else instead. And I'm here to say all three of those scenarios are okay. It's part of the exploration process. Sometimes these programs work well because it makes you say, okay, well, actually, this isn't what I thought I was going to be. I don't want to do this. Well, that's great. We want you to figure that out now while most of you watching this would be in high school. So why would you want to explore careers now when you're here in high school? Well, really you want to figure out what's your next move going to be, when you are done. And some of you may have 3-4 years left before you're making that decision. Some of you may have just a couple months. You're going to be making a big decision. So is it something where you're going to get a job and get some on-the-job training? Is there something that you're pursuing that could be an apprenticeship that you could get, where you're essentially going to school and getting paid at the same time for on-the-job training? Does your career goal have some sort of special training or certification that you need? Or do you have to go to college? And also then, if you are going to college, how long do you have to go? Yeah, I'm a different generation than most of you who are watching this, but for me, when I was in high school, I thought it was either you went right to work or you went to 4 years of college, and that was it. There was no in between. I realize now there's all sorts of other programs. There's associate's degree programs, there's accelerated degree programs, there's apprenticeships, as I mentioned. There's just all sorts of different options. So we want you to look at those things now. One of the things I always talk about with career exploration, what we want you to do is maximize what I call your ROI. It's return on investment. When you go to school, there's an investment being made. You're paying money, you're giving up time, you're investing things in yourself for the hope that eventually when you come out on the other side of that training or that college, you're going to be potentially earning more money, or in the long term, you'll be earning more money. But of course, there's a cost with all that. So what does money and college have to do with each other? Well, average college student's going to change majors 3 times. So that means that they've changed their mind multiple times throughout their college career. Almost all, with 80%, are going to change their major at least once. So you get into college, you go into school, and then at some point you change your mind and you decide to do something different. A lot of times when that happens, at the tune of about $29,000 a year, it may take you another half a year or 2 years extra to finish your college. So that's more tuition, more debt. I'm not saying don't go to college. Please don't mistake anything I'm saying as being anti-college. I'm just saying we want you to take advantage of these opportunities that we're giving you, make the best, most informed decision you can make that's going to hopefully get you to where you want to be in life, career-wise. So That's why we're doing this. We have about 30 different programs this year. This year, they're all virtual. We've recorded a lot of them already. By the end of this month, the end of April, we'll have all of these completed. So you can find these on our website. Like I said, some of them are available now. You could go and view them later today if you'd like. But there's a list there of a bunch of different company logos you might recognize. Glatfelter Insurance Group, of course, being one of them. Really appreciate all of our hosts who are willing to step up and say, yes, we'll talk to the students about various career paths. So we have, again, 30 different ones you can look at. Okay, last housekeeping item, and then I swear I'll be quiet. I'll turn it over to the good part of the program. Thank you to all the team at Glatfelter. We have a lot of people that took time out of their day to record this and speak with us here today. So really appreciate that. If you are joining us live, whether you're in a group, you can have your teacher type it in. There is a Q&A button. You should notice there's a green circle going around a sample there at the bottom. If you press that, you can type in your question. You can do that at any time. You don't have to wait until a specific time in the program. Just type it in and we'll get to it as soon as we can. I'm going to be monitoring that for everyone, so you don't have to worry about it on the panelists' end. If you could, there's a chat button there too. I would say just leave the chat blank, because we'll use that if we have any resources or links or anything. We'll throw that in there. It's a lot easier for me to not miss anything if you write it in the Q&A. So one last thing. If for some reason, I know some of you have different class schedules, you may need to leave a little bit early to go to your next class. If you just click on the link that got you here today, in about an hour after the program ends, you'll be able to view the video. So you can just forward along to, if you had to leave at the 50-minute mark, you can forward along to 50 minutes, watch the rest of it. That way you didn't miss anything. So that is it for me. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to turn it over to Susan, who's going to get us kicked off.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us live today or watching this later. My name is Susan Newcomer. I'm the training specialist here at Glatfelter. I'm in the Human Resources Department. I've been with Glatfelter for just shy of 2 years, and I am so proud and honored to work for such a caring and generous company. The Glatfelter reputation in the insurance industry is all about how much we care for our clients and our communities. You're going to be hearing today from several of the functional departments within the Glatfelter company, and you'll hear from each person how much they enjoy working in the insurance industry and working for Glatfelter specifically, because we're all united in how much we care about our clients and the services that we provide to them. So if you're looking for a career that makes an impact on your community every day, this is the right place for you. We have departments that fit every personality style and every career path interest that you might have, because Glatfelter has 10 different departments that do very different things, and those all feed up into fulfilling our mission of providing exceptional customer service every day to the people in our community who take care of us. So I'm guessing that a lot of you are around the age where you're either starting to think about getting your driver's license or you've already gotten your driver's license. And one of the key things that you need to get when you get a driver's license is car insurance, whether it's your own car insurance policy or if you're added to your parents' or guardian's insurance policy. So car insurance is a great place to start if you want to visualize what the insurance industry does. You pay the insurance company a small amount of money each month, which is called a premium. And in exchange, the insurance company is ready to help you financially if you have what's called a covered loss, or something happens to your car or yourself that is covered by the insurance policy. So these are what we call personal lines of insurance: car insurance, renter's insurance. When you're living in your own apartment, you want to insure the possessions that you have in your apartment. And then one day when you really grow up and you own your own home, you have homeowner's insurance to look forward to. So Glatfelter has a division of the company called the Glatfelter Agency that helps people find these personal lines of insurance. And then we have divisions of the company that insure businesses or entities. And we don't insure just any businesses. We specialize in organizations that serve you and serve their communities. So firefighters, ambulance companies, other first responders, religious entities like churches, mosques, synagogues, schools, and other types of healthcare workers. We hear a lot about how important our healthcare workers and all of these other first responders have been to our society, carrying us through this very uncertain time during this pandemic. So Glatfelter's insurance policies are designed to help those people and those entities when they experience a covered loss. So to give you a better idea of who our customers are and the impact that Glatfelter has on these customers every day, I'm going to ask Kevin to play a short video for you.
All I knew is that Mr. Gregg fell out, you need to come with us. And nobody said what fell out meant until they put me in a truck to take me to the hospital, and then they said, well, he had a heart attack. We could not have survived without the insurance. I mean, really, we had insurance with another company. They gave us grief over filing the claim. They kept saying, well, maybe he had a pre-existing condition that he didn't treat, so we need to make sure that that's not what happened. Your insurance company came in and cut us a check without a question, helped us to keep our house, pay our bills. Without your insurance, we couldn't have made it. We would have probably been out on the street or, you know, looking for Chapter 11 or something, but your company kept us there.
So we've leveraged what Glatfelter has done for us, specifically in our police department, to mitigate risk. And we took those recommendations. We had 14 points of information. We adhered to all 14 of those points. We improved those areas of weakness and vulnerability. And we did that between 2016 and 2018. So Glatfelter has been a partner of ours every step of the way. We know that you're not in the insurance business, you're in the claims paying business, and we were on the receiving end of that. It's been so beneficial to our community to be in that partnership that we were able to mitigate less injury, less waste, less pain, and less expense in 2018, so we're very grateful for that.
Our program was able to support a family that wanted to bring their child home for end of life. The child had been in the hospital for 7 months, had not seen their home for that long. And family members brought her home under the direction of one of our tertiary care hospitals for which we work under. And we were able to help support that child and family. And that child was able to die in her parents' bed with her parents holding her instead of being in the hospital. Yes, we're there for our clients when they die, but there's so much more to be done before that happens. I feel like hospice is about living, not about dying.
Thank you, Kevin. So you can see how our company makes such a positive impact on the communities that are here to serve you and serve our communities. So we are so passionate about that here at Glatfelter. I'm going to hand things off to our first functional department area, our marketing team. Very talented group of folks. I'm very excited to introduce Lindsay, our marketing content manager, and her colleague Richie as well. So Lindsay, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the group about what the marketing team does and their impact on Glatfelter. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Susan, and thank you everyone for being here today. We really appreciate your time and your interest. So we do insurance marketing, and as Susan said, my name is Lindsay. I am the marketing content manager for Glatfelter Insurance Group, so I kind of oversee the content that goes out of our department. Overall, the goal of marketing, as you guys probably know pretty well, is to really get people's attention and have people want to purchase your product. That can be hard to do in the market with insurance because than it is with other products that might be more appealing. But on a surface level, it sure looks like that, and that insurance is just this piece of paper, this policy that you buy. to make sure that you're safe if anything goes wrong and in the moments that really matter. But what we're doing as a marketing department is trying to take that further and take that deeper. And we create videos like the one that you just saw to kind of illustrate that through the real stories of our clients. So what we want to showcase is that we are about so much more than a policy. We are about providing peace of mind. We're about providing support to these people in some of their most difficult moments, about getting them back up on their feet again. All of these really wonderful things. And when you tap into that deeper aspect of insurance, it becomes such a much more meaningful thing and something that is definitely easier to advertise as well. So we use the stories and the words of our clients to talk for us and to speak for us about why our products stand out and why they are so great. And that's, again, what you saw in the video there. Now, the other aspect of what we do and what we try to showcase in marketing, which you might have heard a little bit in the video, is we work on mitigating risk. And, what does that really mean? That just means that we partner with our clients and we're there for them, not just when they have a claim, which some insurance companies, it can seem like that. But we work really hard at Glatfelter to show that we are there with them always. And so we will work with them on making a risk plan, on looking at their specific company and organizations and what kind of risks they face. And we'll work on making a plan to reduce those risks so that the hope is that they can avoid ever having a claim in the first place. So we have sort of this twofold structure, and we're trying to show both those aspects in the marketing that we do. I have Richie with me today as well. As Susan mentioned, he's one of our team members, and he actually happens to be our youngest team member. So he is the most recently out of college and high school, which is why we thought that it would be kind of fun to do like a little Q&A session with Richie and have him answer some things that might most relate to any of you who are thinking of pursuing this type of career or this pathway. So I'm just going to go through a little Q&A session with Richie, but first I'm going to let Richie introduce himself. Richie?
Yep. Thank you, Lindsay. Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I'm Richie. I have been with Glatfelter since, what are we going on, 3 years now, May 2018. And I am one of our integrated marketing specialists. And I'm ready to dive into some questions.
Awesome. So Richie, the first question that I thought would be really applicable to a high school audience is, how did you find your way to working here and working in marketing for Glatfelter?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I never really thought, to be completely honest with you, that I'd be working for an insurance company. But honestly, I think that's what makes it so great, or makes that idea so great, is just because it's not until you kind of get into insurance when you actually start to realize that, there are so many different career paths to choose from for so many different personalities and so many different interests out there. But yeah, I went to college. I was undeclared for like a year or two. And like I said, I didn't really have any idea as to what I wanted to do. But in due time, I finally decided on a major, being communication journalism, really trying to emphasize public relations, and, graduated, and my first job, being a marketer for our local Texas Roadhouse. So got some experience there, and thankfully used my experience to come on over to Glatfelter in 2018. And, that's when I started to realize that, there's just so much more to insurance. And not only did I kind of find a great marketing position here for me, but, there are just like a huge variety of different positions that, that are for really anybody. So, whether we're talking marketing or we're talking underwriting, human resources, risk management, the list can just go on and on. And, but I think the point that I'm really trying to make here is that, there are just so many different paths to go down in insurance. And, I found my place here, and, and have been happy since.
Awesome. Thanks, Richie. So what do you like most about this career or job?
Yeah, so I just figure I can talk a little bit on both. Quickly on marketing. So for marketing, just the creative aspect of it, whether it's writing content or if I'm developing some sort of design piece like a flyer, or maybe if we're doing some filming. Just being able to add like a little bit of my personality to the work, and have like an audience see that, I always thought that was pretty cool. So, I love that about marketing. But, if we're talking insurance, so like, what do I like most about insurance? Before kind of getting into this field, I had very little knowledge of the concept, as I'm sure most people did. I just saw it as, I needed my health insurance, I needed my car insurance. And at the time, I wasn't in the doctor's office all the time, no real like auto claims, anything like that. So I just, to be honest with you, saw it as like another bill. But then, I came to Glatfelter, and, that is when I kind of got like a behind the scenes look as to, the impact that it really has on people, the impact of insurance, that is. And, knowing that our work kind of supports so many great different organizations out there that really are like caretakers for the community. So, talking our clients specifically, like emergency service organizations, schools, healthcare workers, all of these people, they make such an incredible impact in the community. And knowing that we're there to kind of help them on their journey, I think that really makes my job a little bit more enjoyable.
Awesome. Thank you, Richie. I agree. Those are some excellent points. So what have your career experiences at Glatfelter taught you the most?
Yeah, so when you ask that question, the first thing that really comes to mind would have to be like our filming trips. We've gone out and, me, you, our art director, John, we've gone out and had trips to really capture our clients' stories. And, those, being able to really meet our client, and we're not just talking local, we've been to Texas, North Carolina, we're really just like all over the place here. But really being able to talk to the client in person and really know, just kind of learn more about what they do, and also like how our protection helps them on their journey specifically. I think that has been like the biggest eye opener for me, to be completely honest with you.
I totally agree with that. I think that the stories we've been able to hear from the clients just take what we do to a different level. And it's amazing to see the people that we're helping, because they're out there helping so many people in the community and making such a huge difference. So Richie, if someone's listening to this and they're really, into what you're saying, they think that it might be in line with their interests and what they might like to do or find rewarding, what kinds of characteristics do you think someone should have that would help them thrive in this type of career?
Yeah, I think to be able to thrive in, just like in this career, whether it is marketing or, insurance, just in general, I think communication and the ability to build relationships, like real strong, genuine relationships, I think that's key. Just from the conversations that we have. So like whether it is from some of our filming trips or, I've done recently some client surveys, just having these conversations with some of our clients, they always talk about how important these characteristics are, just being able to keep consistent communication with them rather than just, calling them at time of renewal, or, building a real partnership with them and really just kind of becoming an extension of that organization with the promise of kind of being there when it really matters. So I think that goes for, these characteristics go for any department, like I said earlier. So whether you're in marketing, sales, claims, underwriting, the ability to build strong relationships and communicate properly is key.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that the relationships that Glatfelter Associates are so good at forming, both with our agent partners who sell our products and the clients we serve, have been a huge part of the success that we have and experience today. So finally, Richie, advice. You were recently, not too long ago, in college yourself, and then before that in high school. What kind of advice would you have for someone in high school who is planning on entering this field, or looking at college and just planning ahead?
Yeah, so when it comes to advice, anybody out there that is looking to go to college, like I said, I went to college, and if you do plan to go down that route, I would say, no matter what career path you choose to go down, use those college years as time to get as much experience as you possibly can. You have so many great resources in college. So, you have your professors that have years and years of experience and connections that could really help you thrive. Join clubs that are specific to, your interests and, the career path that you want to go down. Doing that can really get you some experience and even help you build like a pretty solid portfolio. And then finally, internships, those are extremely important. And especially, trying to get into an internship sooner rather than later. That gives you some great real world experience, some good interview experience as well. And, at the end of the day, I think, all employers really just like to see some sort of experience on the resume. So if you're able to do some of these things in college, I think you'll really be able to kind of better sell yourself to an organization or any business out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richie. That's great advice too. If anyone has any other questions for us, or if any questions were submitted as we spoke, we're happy to answer them right now. If not, we also will come back around 11:30 or so for the open Q&A session. So if anything, if anyone thinks of anything between now and then that they'd like to specifically ask us, we'll be here for that. So any additional questions?
I don't see any coming in. I just, I wanted to really just highlight how, while today's all about insurance, I think it really just, if you just look at the big picture of just how many different teams and specialized people come together to make, a successful business function the way that it does. I know I run into that a lot where you talk to engineering students who think that they're going to be at an engineering firm, and they, or you look at someone who's interested in manufacturing and they think, well, I'm going to be on the line. And then you realize, well, first of all, engineers, they typically end up working for manufacturing firms, and manufacturing firms have accounts payable and accounting and accounts receivable and marketing and sales, and they have all these other, just because you work in manufacturing doesn't mean you're going to be necessarily out on the line on the production floor. So I just think for today, for all the students watching this, is really just pay attention to how much people specialize and how they come together and do their own part of the puzzle to make it all successful. I just think it's really awesome. And marketing was my major, so
oh, awesome.
I'm glad
they
saved the best for first.
That brings a great, thanks, we think so too. That brings a great point, just because, yes, when you think of insurance, you don't traditionally think of a full creative, in-house marketing team. And that's really what we have at Glatfelter Insurance Group. We are it's like having our own marketing agency, and it's pretty incredible, the creativity and we're able to tap into, and the things we're able to do. We have a 14-person team with people that do graphic design, augmented reality, digital advertising, and events, public relations. We run the gamut. So tons and tons of room for all different interests and all different talents.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Susan, we just turn it back to you then.
Sure. Thank you guys so much. Great points made. Appreciate it. And so now we'll turn to what, as they were just saying, what you would probably traditionally think of in the insurance industry is the sales side of insurance. So I'm going to hand things over to Sean Yingling. He is our president of sales for the religious practice and healthcare practice divisions of the sales team. So in the video that we watched earlier, that last segment where the woman was talking about hospice and home health, those are the types of clients that Sean and his team serve. So Sean, I'll hand it over to you.
I think Sean's video's off, but his audio is on.
Okay. Sean, we aren't able to see you. Okay. So while we're getting that straightened out, why don't we move into licensing with our licensing supervisor, Angela Delosier. I know that licensing is a division that is probably not very commonly thought of in insurance. And so Angela is excited to share with you what the licensing team does and what types of interests and qualifications you would need to have if you were interested in joining a licensing team. Angela, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Susan. At this time, I'd like to share my screen. Okay, as Susan said, I supervise our licensing and compliance department. My name is Angela DeLuger. I can definitely tell you that I did not go to school for licensing and compliance. How did I end up in this industry? Right out of college, which I majored in marketing, I moved out to the Philadelphia area, and I actually landed a job within an accounting department within a company. And a friend of mine, who is now my mentor, came to me and she said, I work in the insurance industry. Have you ever considered insurance? There's many different departments you can look into. And I ended up applying and getting a compliance position. I loved that insurance from day one. Shortly after, about 7 years after, I decided that I wanted to move back to the York County area. I did some research and I found a company called Glatfelter Insurance Group. And I said, okay, I'm going to apply. And if I get that position at Glatfelter, I'm moving back. And thank goodness I did. And I have been with Glatfelter for 10 years now. Licensing and compliance, what is it? Well, we maintain licenses for both entity and individuals. Our entities are within our company. Our individuals are also our associates, our adjusters, our sales team, our underwriters. We onboard our agents with contracts, licenses, and we check their insurance, and we also assign carrier appointments. How do we personally benefit the company? We maintain an ever-changing state and carrier requirements. You know, the changes come weekly, sometimes monthly, hopefully, but sometimes, you know, twice in a week. We maintain our corporate broker network. This is a network that our accounting, sales, and underwriting departments look towards that stores both our agency and agent information. We research and decipher state regulatory announcements and House bills as they relate to GIG or our own associates. And, you know, without licenses, we can't write businesses in certain states, and, you know, we can't underwrite, so we can't adjust claims. So they're very important. Who do we work with internally or externally? We work with most internal departments. We work with state regulators, insurance regulators. We work with our carrier, legal, licensing, and compliance team. We work with all agencies and agents, and we work with our auditors. Qualifications and personalities for our position. Positions within our department is a licensing associate, or also known as licensing and compliance associate. You must maintain analytical skills. You need those to consider the information before making a decision. You must be flexible. We do have frequent changes throughout the year, again, with state and carrier. You have to have a customer service, be customer service oriented, both internally and externally. Our customers are our internal associates and external associates. We speak to them on a daily basis. We maintain a direct contact with these associates, and you need to be very customer service oriented. You need to be easygoing since things change, and, you know, something could come at you at any moment where you have to adjust your workflow. You have to really love research. You have to love to dive right in. Like I said, a House bill might come up on tomorrow, and you need to research that and see how it affects our company. You really need to be organized. People rely on us for their licenses and maintaining their license and making sure that they have everything that they need. You do need to be proficient in Microsoft Office Suite. We do recommend a secondary education, but it's not mandatory. Specific position details within our department. We do typically work 8:15 to 5. There's occasional overtime. We do maintain individual assigned state territory licenses and associates. So you do have your own individual work. You do still work within a team. You must take personal development courses throughout the year. You also need to obtain a SILA designation A and F and maintain the CA courses that are required for that. Our SILA is Securities and Insurance Licensing Association. It's an educational forum for members to exchange information. So you can go to this forum, you can ask the question, hey, I have an associate, he's a licensed in Alaska, but he's moving to Montana. Have you ever had this? And is there anything I need to know different than the ordinary, moving things over? You also need to be able to attend a yearly SILA conference. This is a networking conference. You do meet our state regulators, you talk to other licensing associates with other companies and exchange ideas. They are in different states every year. Last year, we did have a virtual conference, but it was to be held in Seattle, Washington. This year, we're lucky to have it in Philadelphia. Why did I pick a career insurance other than, it being kind of, an opportunity presented to me? I really have learned a variety of skills. I have worked in other departments. I really like the fact that our department works with other departments and we can kind of learn some of the ins and outs of what is needed to help maintain their license. I feel like I make a difference within our company. Without a license, things can't run smoothly. It is a very stable industry, and we have opportunity for advancement. Why should you pick a career at GIG? We have integrity. We are family oriented. I can't express to you how wonderful and I feel like I'm working for, my family. We definitely encourage advancement. As my boss always says, it's your opportunity to shine. And we make a difference. We have purpose. At this time, if you have any questions or comments, I would love to answer them. Okay, well then at this time, I can definitely pass it over to our licensed underwriting department, Rachel and Tom. There you go.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Angela. And we'll pass things on to Tom in underwriting and his colleague Rachel as well to tell you about what our underwriting department does.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My name is Tom Thompson. I'm a Senior Vice President of our Glatfelter Public Practice Group. In a few minutes, I'll be turning it over for Rachel to share her information with you as well. I want to give you a brief introduction of what the underwriting process is, but I think there's a little bit of history as to what underwriting is and where that comes from, and especially the term. The term underwriting actually started literally hundreds of years ago when cargo ships, in Europe were transporting stuff from one country to another, and literally the ship's captain would go into a coffee shop and there'd be a chalkboard and he'd write the value of what his shipments were in the ship, and people that wanted to insure those shipments would write underneath how much they would want to how much of the risk that they would want to take in and how much they would charge for that. So the term underwriter came from that aspect. And that's kind of what we do today. We speak our own language, and you've heard some terms before as far as risk. We think of exposures, and the underwriting process is basically taking a lot of different information that might cause a loss. Susan talked about a cover loss, and things that can cause a loss are the things that we need to evaluate as to, what could happen, how much is it going to cost, and then more importantly, what can we do to control those types of losses? And so the underwriting process is to evaluate a lot of information and to determine, do we want to insure that risk or not? And if we do, how much do we want to charge for it? And what we specialize in, and what I oversee, we have a countrywide program. We insure municipalities, we insure school districts, we insure school bus contractors, we insure water districts and sewer districts. So a lot of these things that go on that you guys may not even think about on a daily basis, and obviously most people don't either, they all need insurance. And just if you look around when you're in school, think about the building. I'll talk about one aspect because there's all different types of insurance as well. And one of the biggest piece to a school is the property insurance that's involved with that. And most school districts, especially your high schools, we insure those in the event that something happens, from a fire to vandalism, to worst case scenario if a tornado comes through. Many of you may have remember a tornado that came through the Joplin, Missouri area years ago. It literally wiped out an entire school. And schools, to replace an entire school, depend upon its size and how it's constructed, the values of that can be anywhere from $60 million to over $100 million. And so as the underwriting process and as underwriters, we need to look at all those exposures that could cause those types of losses. And again, we pull all that information together so that we determine how much we need to charge for that. And we look at what happens and what the insured's doing and how many losses they've had in the past. And so if you're looking for a career that you need to think abstractly and to pull information together, you like to think about puzzles and how to figure things out and to pull them together. All of that information paints a picture for us to determine whether it's a good risk or a bad risk. And when that happens, that's when we decide, okay, we do want to insure this. And now we have to price it not only so that we can make money, but we can protect the insured properly. And then also we have, we can beat our competitors out because there's other insurance companies that are trying to do the same thing. My background, I've been with Glatfelter for the past 13 years, but I've been in the industry for a little bit over 40 years. And I literally came directly out of high school into the insurance industry. It was my very first job, fell into it by accident. And from my standpoint, I literally fell in love with the industry. There's so much information, you're constantly learning. Ricky talked about, you get a behind the scenes look. And what I like about the underwriting process is that we literally need to know how an operation works, because that's what helps us decide what types of exposures or what things can cause a type of loss. In my career, I've insured restaurants, I've insured manufacturers, I've insured a lot of different things for different companies and underwritten those. And so I've had to walk through manufacturing processes. Years ago, I used to insure the Shopvac Corporation that makes the vacuum cleaners. I used to insure California Pizza Kitchen, which they make pizzas all around the country. So there's a lot within the insurance industry that is constantly changing, and we are considered to be professionals. Think of the insurance industry just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, because we provide a service, and it is a stable industry, as Angie said before, to where we are there to try to help protect people and put things back together. And whether we're providing property coverage, or if someone slips and falls and gets hurt at the school, they might sue the school district. We're there to help protect them and provide them with financial assistance that they might not otherwise be able to afford. And in the insurance industry, and from the underwriting process, we call it the law of large numbers. So the premiums, the amount that people pay, that accumulated together, okay, that helps pay for the losses of the few accounts that have actual losses. You may or may not have to experience, or you've paid for insurance yet because you're still in high school, but I'm sure you've heard your parents talk about it. And it is a service, it is professional, and it's an industry where you will continually learn about what's going on in the world, and we have to stay on top of current events. Since we insure municipalities, we also insure what happens with law enforcement. Everyone has seen what's going on nowadays in the past several years with regards to some of the police officers. When a town gets sued, we're providing coverage to try to protect the town and potentially the officers, and to try to help satisfy some of those circumstances that take place. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel so that she can talk about what she does and some of the skills that are involved.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, I'm Rachel Breen. I'm a senior property and casualty underwriter with the VFIS program. The VFIS program has, we handle the volunteer firemen's insurance services, and we insure the fire departments, the EMSs, and the 911 centers. I originally did not start out in insurance. That's pretty much the motto for a lot of people that are involved in insurance. I actually went to school at York College, went for respiratory therapy. After a couple of years, decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. Got back into banking, which I did while I was in college and loved it. Somehow somebody mentioned insurance. I got a job previously working at Lincoln General, and then left there and came to Glatfelter. So I've been in insurance for 17 and a half years. With Glatfelter, 12 and a half years, and loved every day since. Insurance is definitely my niche and what I was supposed to do in life. Just to let you know that I do have a daughter that's a senior in high school right now. So I understand that you're trying to figure out what you want to do and where you need to fall in life. And all I have to say to you is keep your eyes open. Every opportunity, learn more about it. It may end up being something, a path in life that will take you somewhere where maybe you originally did not want to go. And it's very hard to make the decision now at such a young age to what you will be doing for the rest of your life. When to be an underwriter or in the underwriting department, one of the skills that I say you should possess is you definitely have to be an extrovert, somebody that's willing to talk to people, but you also need to possess the skills of being an introvert. You need to have the ability to talk to people on the phone, work as a team. So you're, when you're in the office, which right now we're working from home, be able to, have discussions, work problems out. Or you also need to be an introvert where you're going to work alone and solve problems on your own and not necessarily always rely on somebody else to be there for you. Some of the other skills that an underwriter should possess, analytical skills. You need to be able to evaluate information from many different sources. I mean, we work with all the different departments, claims, risk control, and we need the agents themselves providing the applications, photos. You need to be able to take a look at all of the information and make decisions based off of that. Good decision-making skills and problem solving. Be detail-oriented and very organized. You need to be a team player. I would like to say that the underwriter is only it and we do everything, but our department is made up of administrative assistant that receives some information and forwards it on to us, pulls documents. We have underwriting assistants that actually do our data entry, rate for us. So we're working as a team on a regular basis. And there's always other jobs other than an underwriter that we need people for. So if necessarily you don't want to, or you're new to insurance and you're thinking about the insurance career and underwriter is something that you would want to look forward to in the future, starting out at an entry-level position and working your way up is a great way to go. You don't necessarily need to have a college education, but it is a good thing to know that you can accomplish a task. You can also take insurance. You can take insurance in college and graduate with an insurance degree, but it is not necessary. You have to be willing to be open-minded. Not everything is black and white. There's difference in opinions. You need to be willing and willing to accept change and have the ability to easily accept change, many times different systems, thought processes. You have to be willing to learn. We're constantly taking classes, getting different designations. I have my CPCU. We have CE credits that we need to obtain for different licensing, PA state licensing because we deal with insureds sometimes. You need to be personable, approachable. You need to, we are dealing with agents and talking and insureds on the phone, and we need to have them, when they get off the phone with us, actually like dealing with us. You need to be able to relay your thoughts, emails, referrals. You need to have a clear thought process and be able to relay that. You need to be persuasive. You need to be the person that's able to get people to buy into your thoughts and opinions on things. The ability to meet goals. We constantly in insurance have goals because we got to make sure that insurance stays profitable and that we can pay for all the claims. So we have many goals that we need to reach on a daily basis. And we're looked at in reviews and things like that. So you need to be able to reach your goals. Good computer skills, you're emailing, you're using the internet on a regular basis, Microsoft Office. One thing is the ability to step out of your comfort zone and try to make a difference or to learn more. One of the things, an example that I have done, and now I, underwrite for the fire departments, EMSs, and 911 centers, and I wanted to understand more what I was dealing with. So there was an opportunity to go to fire school. I went and did that. I went and got my EMT license, did ride-alongs, so that I could understand better my clients. And that, I think, sometimes in life just sets you above the rest. The ability to willing to take, your personal time and do that. So that's my suggestion. In underwriting, we work pretty normal business hours, 8:15 to 5, with an hour lunch. As an underwriter, you're salaried. So we do have the capability that when our territory gets, a lot of work, which we don't know on a regular basis, what new business applications are going to come in. So if you get inundated with work, you're sort of expected to put in some extra time so that you can keep up with everything, because we do want to make sure that we are meeting everybody's deadlines. And if an agent sends us a submission and would like a quick turnaround time, I might end up having to stay later so that I can get the job accomplished for them. We do have some travel. Every once in a while, we'll be asked to go visit some of our agents or insureds, which is another great opportunity for us to get hands-on knowledge and see firsthand versus having to receive applications, via email or pictures, but via email. We can actually be out there and see things. Why I love Glatfelter and VFIS. First, I am so proud to be able to carry on Mr. Glatfelter's legacy. He originally started VFIS because he saw the need for these firemen and EMS personnel that were giving their lives, and they needed to be insured in their families, which he originally started with the accident and sickness program, which is basically compensating people for being sick or injured or dying on the job. But, I take pride in the fact that he was the first to start this, and they are doing a great job for us. And we need to make sure that they are, we're giving them the stability for doing their job, at giving their time and their life and taking care of the public. At Glatfelter, it's very much a family atmosphere, and we are so valued as employees. I think that's it. Any questions?
Rachel, I would just add, you hit on so many of the things that we call, and hopefully their high school counselors are calling essential skills. Mm-hmm. And I will say, from working with everyone from accountants to all the way at the end of the alphabet, about as far as it goes into the like transportation, logistics, warehousing industry. All those skills are so very important. It's the problem solving, and I'll be the bearer of bad news because believe me, I thought it when I got out of college. Unfortunately, you don't stop learning. I really thought when I was out of college, I'll never have to sit through a class again. I'm never doing that. I'm not going for my master's. I'm not doing any of that stuff. And, between various jobs needing certifications, as you said, CE, continuing education, my board of directors telling me, hey, why don't you go get some letters next to your name, and we'll give you some money to do that. And it's those types of things where you really have to commit to. You're always learning new things. As much as I try to every day not to learn something new, I get stuck, and I always get it anyway. So but you hit on so many great things with communication and being committed to that. So thank you for that, because that just again clarifies what every industry is saying, that you really need those skills. They're essential to every job, but specific to underwriting. Thank you for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, I think there's the only thing that's constant is change. And I think that applies to all industries, and it certainly applies to the insurance industry. We have to be flexible. We have to be willing to continue to learn, because if not, we're going to be left behind.
And I think this past year has taught us all to be a little more flexible than than maybe we were before. And hopefully some employers are doing that as well, with many of us working from home right now. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you guys so much. So that was the underwriting department. And next we're going to hear from Mike Baker, who is the director of VFIS Client Risk Solutions. If you think back to the video that we watched at the beginning, Matt Zapp, who was the second person to give his testimonial during the video, was talking about 14 recommendations that the police department could implement to help reduce their risk. And that was a result of consult that they received from Client Risk Solutions, which is the division that Mike is a part of. So Mike's going to tell you what Client Risk Solutions is all about and what qualifications you need to work in that segment. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Susan. I hope everybody's doing well out there, and appreciate the opportunity to get to speak to you about Glatfelter, as well as some of the things that Client Risk does here at Glatfelter. So my name is Mike Baker. I'm the director of the VFIS program for Client Risk Solutions. I think on this panel, I think I'm second in line for the years of service. I have 18 with Glatfelter, and as you can see, over those 18 years, Glatfelter has been a strong supporter of continued learning. I actually have more letters behind my name than I do in it. So again, that's something that continued learning is essential in anything you're going to be doing. So we won't just quit at the college level. On the job training and past that is much more important and more specialized to the industry. So I'll take it through. I just put a real quick chart up to kind of show the wheel of the folks who are talking in each of the departments here this morning. And risk control, or Client Risk Solutions, and education and training, which is our training department, plays a major role and kind of outside of the normal insurance function, but yet an essential part. We consider ourselves what we call the added value portion of the program. A lot of things we do is we take the claims history, which you're going to hear claims talk shortly after me. We take the results from that claim history and the actuaries, which again, you're going to hear later. We take that data and kind of develop trends and things we're seeing in the industry. We take that out to our clients and actually talk to them or consult with them to either do trainings or one-on-one meetings to say, hey, here's some speed bumps or potholes or some things that you should probably think twice about or put something in place to kind of stay clear of this particular risk or this area. So we have a lot of forward-facing opportunities. We do a considerable amount of travel in the risk control or Client Risk Solutions and training departments. I guess we say roughly 60 to 70% of your work week is going to be out in the field, meeting in those clients, fire departments, in their offices, in their administrative buildings, training centers. You're going to be out there forward-facing with those accounts. So that's a large portion of what we do. There's a second portion which Tom and Rachel kind of alluded to is, we're trying to gauge, how risky is this opportunity? What's the exposure we're looking at? And risk control through these individual meetings with these accounts we'll write a report back to them, kind of giving them a gauge to say, hey, are they, is this something we really want to do, or is this something that, let's stay away from that, or is it something that, hey, I'd take 100 of these tomorrow. Let's kind of jump on this and go with it. So again, that's the relationship that we have with the underwriting side. I talked about the insured. From the sales side, again, I hit on that added value. Whenever they're trying to sell Glatfelter or any of the programs here, the two, the training and the consulting certainly are some value that they can, say that VFIS or Glatfelter brings to the table that other companies or competitors may not take the opportunity to provide. So value of us, when I talk about that value, again, personal contact with the accounts, we are out there in the field with them, talking to them and working with them hand in hand. We're providing front trainings. We do online trainings. There's a bunch of different ways we can get the information off of our losses and try to drive down their losses or their claim submissions in order to provide a more profitable bottom line to the company. So the other thing is, these relationships that we establish, and part of what Glatfelter is a relationship business, but these relationships we establish give us the opportunity to eventually have people call us for things that may not even be related to insurance. We get calls all the time about, hey, I'm looking to do this. What's your thought? The people at Glatfelter, beyond the insurance side and anything in the VFIS program, we're looked at as the experts in the industry. So a lot of people will call us for things even outside of insurance. So what does it take to work here in the risk control department or in the training side? Certainly you got to be self-motivated. A lot of the things that we'll do is we'll assign you a task, say, hey, you need to go put a program on at this account. And it's up to you to schedule that, schedule your travel, go do the meeting, write your reports. You can't have a manager or a supervisor looking right over your shoulder throughout that entire process. So you've got to be self-driven to do those things. I can't place enough emphasis on communication skills. Regardless of whatever you do in life, I know when I was in high school and college, I always, drug my hands and knees that I did not want to do any kind of speech class. I did not want to do any writing class. That was the worst. I never thought anything about that. And now looking back, take this word of advice, really drive yourself to improve your communication skills because they're essential in whatever you do. Good organization, time management goes without saying. That's part of being self-motivated, being able to get things done. Problem solver, looking at an account, seeing what they're doing, developing a plan to maybe help them if they're having trouble, or maybe they're looking at an opportunity to expand. Again, just giving them pointers that you have learned through your experience of dealing with other organizations similar to them. Education, our department is a little, I guess, different in that, a four-year degree is certainly preferred, but, we actually have built our staffing, our associates in this particular department based upon industry experts. So a lot of the folks that are our talent pool have been industry operators or in the particular niche industries that we write business in. So they were probably a wastewater management lead. They were probably a police officer. They were probably a nurse. They were probably a firefighter or a fire chief. So those are the folks that we bring in, and they're looking for a second career because oftentimes in municipal service, there's a length of service of 20, 25, maybe 30 years, and those folks can retire. A lot of times they're 50, 55 years old. Their spouse hasn't retired yet. They're just looking for something to fill that gap to get them to that 60, 65-year mark. So we really use those folks to kind of create our staffing and our expert panel that's going to go out and serve these clients and be forward-facing and promote the VFIS initiatives. Professional designations, as I said at the beginning, there's a bunch of opportunities for insurance. Some of the four-year degrees that are out there in college actually offer risk management programs, which would lend itself to become a good basis for a lot of the departments that you're talking to today. So again, I put all those together. Why I love working at Glatfelter. I myself had 25 years in emergency service experience. out in the field. And, I have drive and pride in helping my fellow brothers and sisters to make sure at the end of the day that they come home safe. And that being said, whatever I can do to assist them, I never once thought I would end up in an insurance career, but here I am, and I've had the opportunity to speak with services all across the country, thanks to Glatfelter. So, it's been an honor to do that, and it's certainly been very rewarding to have a chief of a large metropolitan department pat you on the back, shake your hand, and say, hey, thanks. You really brought a good point to us, and I'm glad we spent the time together. So with that being said, is there any questions for risk control or training?
I don't see any questions coming in. I just think I love the recurring theme of, when we talk about careers and career development, one of the big, there's like 4 foundations of that. I won't bore you with them all, but career awareness is one of them. And I think that's why you see so many people who, as adults, as maybe a second career or a third career, they change and they get into this insurance industry, because I think as, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old, you don't really have a whole lot of experience with the insurance industry and what it serves and why it's there, and how many times it's required in various situations. Like, you can't just go out and get a loan without making sure that there's insurance attached to it, to make sure if something happens that you can pay the loan back. It's such a, it's good that you have this awareness that, hopefully some people maybe it will be their first choice. And again, that's nothing about the industry, that it wasn't anyone's first choice. It's sometimes that lack of awareness. I know someone said earlier they were a respiratory care, Rachel, I believe that was you, respiratory care major. That's a major that, we've worked with, because everyone knows what nurses do, but not everyone knows what respiratory care specialists do. Of course, they do over the last year, they've known, but it's just building that awareness is important. So I love hearing all your stories, how you kind of fell into insurance at some point throughout your career, but appreciate you sharing that.
Great, thank you so much. And next we'll move on to the claims department. You've heard throughout some of the presentations how we are in the business of paying claims. You heard that in the video as well. That's a saying that a lot of us say frequently, because our founder, Mr. Art Glatfelter, used to tell that to our associates, that we are in the business to pay claims. Unfortunately, sometimes you hear of customer experiences with insurance companies where they are maybe being given a hard time about filing a claim. And we want to absolutely make sure that that is not our client's experience at Glatfelter. And so I'm going to pass things over to our Associate Vice President of Glatfelter Claims Management, the Auto Division, Heath Conrad, to tell you more about our claims function.
Thank you, Susan. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you joining us today and inviting us in to talk a little bit. Just a little bit about myself to get started. I am York County born and raised. I have wore a tie today because I'm representing the 17356. I am a graduate of the Red Line Area High School. So all you Lions out there, thanks for joining us. Claims is sort of a misunderstood piece of the business sometimes, and I think Susan alluded to it a little bit. From what you've heard so far, you've heard a little bit about all the kinds of programs and insurance that Glatfelter writes. And I want you to just think about the kind of claims that might generate when things go wrong, accidents happen. So think of fire trucks responding to a fire. They drive fast and they go through stop signs sometimes, and they have the lights and sirens. Or think of all the things that can happen at a school in the daytime. When you're there as a student or after hours, when there's events going on, people are on the premises. Simple things like somebody falls on the stairs, or gets a hot dog at the basketball game and starts to choke. You never know what's going to happen. One thing I would say is be good to your bus drivers. They're maneuvering a very big piece of equipment through a densely populated area. So chill out, be respectful, let them do their jobs, because it's a dangerous world out there and they want to make sure you get home safe. We write all lines of business. My primary focus is auto claims. I graduated from Redline. I went on to Bucknell University, where I got my bachelor's degree, and I started in insurance claims back in the late 90s. In that time, things have changed a lot in the claims world. I've been with Glatfelter since 2012, and as Susan said, I'm the Associate Vice President of Auto Claims. So, underwriting, sales, and marketing are involved in the front-end policy production. That policy is enforced, and basically they've made a promise to that insured. And that promise is that when something bad happens, we're going to help them to fix that. And sometimes that means paying for damage to their property. Sometimes it means defending them from claims that are presented against them. Sometimes accidents happen that are the insured's fault, and we need to make sure that we make whole those folks who have been involved and harmed as a result of that accident. Talking about the reputation of claims, if you think of a claims adjuster, you're probably thinking of those Metzger Wickersham commercials where it's a bunch of grumpy old men sitting around a table, and then they get the letter from the attorneys and they panic. Let's settle this claim. I think that's an unfair characterization, and I resent it. No, it's just the attorneys trying to do their jobs. But most claims are settled. They're negotiated. That's a big part of what we do. Sometimes they do have to go to court. Unfortunately, some things can't be resolved. But mostly the job is just about helping people. It's a claims adjuster's job to investigate, evaluate, and settle insurance claims. We look at the coverage forms, we identify what coverage applies, determine who's at fault for an accident, verify the amount of covered damages, and negotiate a reasonable settlement. And to Mr. Glatfelter's opinion on the subject that we try to run our business by every day, our job is to pay claims, pay them as quickly as we can and as fairly as we can. And that's the only reason we exist. And we take that to heart in our claims department. We really try to live up to that every day. It seems like it would be an easy job, but the problem is that when we get someone on the phone, and most of our work is done over the phone, something terrible has already happened. It's not like you wake up in the morning and everything's going great and you think, you know what, I'm going to give the claims department a call. Usually the people that call us have been in an accident. They may be hurt. Their vehicle may be disabled. The roof might be off their building. Their basement might be full of water. They may have received a letter threatening to sue them. So something bad has already happened. So we're already starting sort of below baseline, and it's the claims adjuster's job to help sort that out. And, along the way, there's sometimes conflict. We don't always agree. We don't always agree who's responsible. We don't always agree how much money is owed. That's where communication and interpersonal skills become, really important to this job. Being a good listener is probably the number one skill that a claims adjuster can have, because when something bad has happened to someone, they want to tell somebody about it. They want to be heard, and they want to make sure you understand what they need. And we can't always give them everything they need, but at least if we have credibility that we've listened, we understand, and we're doing the best we can, that goes a long way towards helping somebody psychologically move through the loss they've suffered. And it's very personal. Claims are very personal to people. And sometimes it's, somebody who's just super attached to their 1968 Camaro, and it's involved in an accident, and they'll never recover from that trauma. I sound like I'm making light of it, but it's a real thing. And unfortunately, there are serious claims where I've sat across the kitchen table from people whose children are permanently paralyzed because of a motor vehicle accident, and you have to explain to them that this horrible thing has happened to you. And the policy of insurance only carries $100,000 to compensate you for your daughter's loss. That's a tough conversation to have, which is why the relationship really matters. There has to be trust, there has to be empathy. So if you find yourself as a good listener, you find yourself able to communicate with people and make them feel better about a bad situation, claims might be a career choice that you would want to consider, because that counseling piece of it is a big part of what we do. Move on here. I don't want to take too much time. When I started in the industry, a lot of claims work was done manually or out in the field. We always had the phone, but we used to take scene photos with 35 millimeter cameras. We used to take recorded statements on cassette tapes. I don't know if any of you have any of those in your backpacks right now. I'm doubting it. We had one computer in the office that had the internet, and guess what? Nobody ever used it because there was nothing to find on the internet. There was nothing there. There was no content that was of any use to us. So it was sort of like a It gathered dust. A modern claims office actually uses a ton of technology. You know, Glatfelter, we handle claims for 50 states, primarily from our office in York. And we use a variety of resources. You know, modern claims handling involves all sorts of digital technology. We still take statements, but we do it on the computer. We use satellite photography. We use drones to assess property damage claims. We use all sorts of internet resources to find information about claimants and claims, including social media. You know, Google Earth is on every adjuster's desk, because as we're talking to somebody about how the accident happened, we can pull up the loss location on Google Earth and see exactly how it looked at the time that footage was obtained, so that as they're telling us the story, we can put it in the right context and make faster, better, more complete decisions. We do get out in the field sometimes. We get to attend hearings and trials and meet with clients, kind of like Rachel said, with the underwriting side of things. In my time with Glatfelter, I did a quick count on the map, and I've been to about 15 different states, to such exotic locations as Storm Lake, Iowa, which is really the Paris of the Midwest, I've come to find out. You know, it's not always an exotic location, but you get to meet people and you get to see people and how they live. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of the job. To be good at this job, you have to be curious. You have to ask a lot of questions. We've talked about the communication. You have to be thick-skinned. You know, there's a lot of disagreements. I've been called every name in the book. I don't think your teachers or parents want us to do like a checklist of those names, but I can tell you the worst ones you can think of, they've been directed at me. Because people are going through something and you're not always making them happy, even though you do your best. Education-wise, claims folks have a variety of educational origins. You know, we have a lot of college grads. We also have some people with masters and JDs and advanced degrees, but we also have a lot of college or high school grads that have other experience. We have firefighters, EMTs, body shop technicians, auto mechanics, health workers. You know, we have pretty much a little bit of everything, because the nature of what we do, there's a lot of experience that can be useful. And a lot of people just have great customer service background. And that's a huge part of what we do. As our licensing representative shared with you, we are licensed in a lot of our states. So claims folks are lifetime learners. You may come into the business without a lot of specific insurance background. That's okay. If you have the right interpersonal skills, critical thinking skills, the analytical thinking skills, we can train you on the details. So for those of you who are looking to get a job right out of college, or right out of high school rather, like Rachel said, you know, look at our webpage, look at some of those entry-level opportunities, because there's a lot of people who have gotten to very high levels in our claims department who started in an entry-level support position, and they learned the job step by step by step. And they hustled, which is another great quality to have in claims. There's an urgency to getting that fire engine back on the road, to getting that ambulance back in operation so that they can serve their communities. You've heard a lot of great things about Glatfelter and what a great place it is to work. I've had claims jobs at other places that were good places to work, but I think for me, in my role, what sets Glatfelter apart is that we serve people who serve people in their communities. And that's just huge. You know, we insure the good guys, and we help them do what they do for their neighbors and communities, and that makes it extra meaningful for me. So that's it. I've shut my time here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Heath. Really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions for Heath? Kevin, did you see any come in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was checking on someone's screen here to see if it was working. Sorry. No, there weren't any in at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you. So at this time, I believe Sean Yingling, our president of sales for the religious practice and the healthcare practice division, has been able to join us. Sean, are you there?
Yes, I pray that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Great. All right, the
right.
floor is yours.
Fantastic. Is there anybody behind me, Susan?
Yes.
Behind me?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so it looks like Cecilia and Andrew. Okay, so I'll try to speed this up. Those that, you know, with apologies to the Football League, those that know me know that I tend to go long. So let me get through this. As Susan said, I president the healthcare practice and the religious practice. The healthcare practice is a company that operates in all 50 states that ensures senior living communities, hospice communities, and then home health organizations, the nurses and aides that go into the home to provide healthcare in the home setting. And then on our religious practice program, that's just a nationwide program of churches and mosques, as she said, temples. So we're really working with some diverse people, really interesting people that are passionate about their companies and what they do. And as people mentioned throughout this, I know Richie mentioned it, I know Tom on the underwriting side mentioned that, you tend to fall into the insurance industry. I actually went to college to be an attorney and joined Glatfelter on the underwriting side and moved over to claims and moved into sales and management. And it's a very progressive industry. I'd like to add that, where you start is probably not where you're going to end. So it is diverse, and it's, you work your way through the ranks, or if you really like what you're doing, you can stay and master that division. I've been in the industry about 33 years, as I mentioned, over various divisions and various responsibilities. Most of my time, 20 plus years, have been with Glatfelter, and I did about 13 years with actually one of our competitors. And so what we do on the sales side, if you look at sales, it's really not about, selling somebody a piece of merchandise. What we're doing is managing risk, and we're helping our clients, transfer the risk in their businesses that I think Tom and other people alluded to, whether it's auto risk, cyber risk, premises risk, whatever it may be, is that they're transferring that to us, the insurance company, in exchange for premium. And I know at the beginning of the presentation, Susan mentioned personal lines and insuring your car. And, Heath even mentioned about Camaros, which, Heath, if you're still listening, I actually had an old Camaro back in my day. So I know what you mean, because mine actually got damaged, and it's painful in separating. But we do commercial insurance for very niche-like segments, as Susan mentioned, the emergency service and the religious and the healthcare, public practice. So we're talking large, complicated accounts with a lot of risk, talking large premiums, in some cases, singular accounts that are $1 million premium accounts. So just to give you the scope of the sizes that we're working with. And somebody also mentioned, I think it was Kevin, our host, that, you have all these various divisions that roll up at the end of the day to become Glatfelter. And that's really important. Mr. Glatfelter referred to us as associates, not employees. And so everybody's got a stake, and everybody division that they master, has to come together in order for the solution to work. So I think, if you look at an insurance company, there's so much interconnectivity between these other divisions. And it's a very team-like process. It's not a one guy, one girl type of industry. It's very team related. So what we do on the sales side is, we take our products and services that we offer outside the building and into the marketplace. Our products are distributed through independent insurance agents, so who you may have your homeowners with or your personal lines. And I know you're younger, so you might not have purchased insurance yet, but when you're in your main street towns and cities, when you go by these agencies that says, the Johnson Agency or the Smith Agency, these are independent agents that, know their customers in the community, and then look to insurance companies that write the kind of risk they're looking to place. And that's what Glatfelter is. We are a place for independent agents to go across the country to put accounts that are in our niches, whether it's healthcare, emergency service, et cetera, to provide a real high level, high quality insurance product. So that's what we're doing. We work through agents and brokers. We're in all 50 states, and so on the sales side, we got to get out of the building. We get on planes and trains and automobiles, and we get face to face and establish relationships. And that's one of the neat things that having grown up on the technical side and moved to the sales and management side is that you're taking your products and you're sitting in front of the client and you're really just managing his or her problems, and then taking that back to the insurance company and working on that as a team, and then going back out and delivering a solution. So that's from a nuts and bolts standpoint. That's what we're doing. It's a very it's a relationship business. Really, the insurance business is in total, whether you're adjusting claims, underwriting with your agents and clients, or even, making sales with your clients, new and existing. You have to have a relationship, but you have to be liked. So if your customer doesn't like you, if they're not comfortable with you, you're really going to have a hard time making a sale or keeping an existing client, regardless of the product or price that you're offering. So as Richie said, from the marketing department, he said join clubs, and I made a note when he said that. Yes, I've been on the whole time, but I couldn't make a connection because of the IT issue. But I made a note to make connections, and that would be, what you want to do as you're working through the end of your high school here and entering college. You want to make connections with people, and you want to talk and let them know your interests. And connections are what are going to get you where you need to be, through life, in conjunction with a lot of hard work. So I would offer that tip. Let me get to the Q&A here so I can work through that. What personality traits, should you have? You definitely need to be, I don't want to say an extrovert, but you need to be a people person. You need to be passionate. You definitely need to have empathy on the sales side. You need to be able to look at a client and put their shoes on and walk a mile or run 5 miles in them and just feel the pains and aches that they're feeling. And when you do that, you're able to come back and customize solutions to meet their problems because you know what it felt like to be in their position. You need to be confident. You need to be comfortable speaking in groups of all sizes. And I always thought that, as far as being comfortable speaking to people, as long as you know what you're talking about, you can really speak to anybody. And so that comes on the training side. Just learn your trade, and getting up and talk to people is really just a matter of repetition, and then how many times you do it till it becomes second nature. One of the questions we have to ask is, what classes should the person take in high school? Is there any high school class preferences? And whether you go academic or you go the business or just the general, and I don't even know if they have academic business in general. That's what they had, 35 years ago when I went to high school. But, I went the academic route. You go the business route. I would just say challenge yourself. Don't take the easy route. Take the courses that challenge you and you can, honestly compete. And then, take it up maybe 1 or 2 notches from there, and then just, work hard and challenge yourself. So, you don't really need to go one track or another. As somebody mentioned, you kind of fall into the industry, as I mentioned. And I know the insurance company is doing a better job, and that's part of this exercise and meeting today, is that we're making awareness about the insurance industry. We all fell into it, and a lot of people fell into it. And the insurance industry is an industry that just thrives. The insurance industry has good years and they have great years. And even during the pandemic, when many businesses, failed or saw reduced capacity or income or revenue, the insurance companies, they continue to do well. We call those market cycles. They're soft market cycles, where insurance availability is prevalent. There's a lot of availability for insurance. And then in the hard markets, things firm up. And hard markets are really dictated by, global events, geopolitical events, or just weather, wind, hail, storm, or financial positions that happen in the financial world as well. So, you don't need to go one way or another. I'd just say challenge yourself and then go for it. What's your typical work week look like? So, we're 8 to 5, and we're in the building a lot, and we're all suit and tie, and you're in a brick and mortar building. But on the sales department, as I mentioned, you're leaving the building, you're in your car, you're going to the airport, and you're flying to your customers, and you're sitting in front of them. So, the percentage of travel can vary depending on what part of sales you're in. But it's definitely an on the road type of business, and that's really rewarding for the right person, because it's not that you want to be stuck in an office the whole time. I never really felt it like that. I enjoy my time in the office just as much as I do in the field. But going and seeing your clients is just paramount to maintaining and making new relationships. What do I like working about Glatfelter? And once you're in Glatfelter, you hear this C word, and it just permeates you, and it's our culture. Our culture, which is really established by Mr. Glatfelter and maintained by following senior management, is this very, clients first, associates first mentality. So it's this dual-pronged approach that, whatever we do, we stay up late and we roll up our sleeves for our clients and get them what they want. And then also that we provide the best-in-class working environment for our associates, promote from within, educate passionately, and just provide this great workplace that, I always said to Glatfelter, I think this sums up why I love being there, is that when I drive in the driveway, it doesn't feel like I'm going to work. I'm going to a place where I want to be and where I want to spend time and people that I want to spend time with. And when you find that, I think you've just found the place that you could just, work forever. And if you look at Glatfelter, you see long tenured people that work their entire careers here and really don't want to go. So that's really why I love Glatfelter. I really appreciate the time with you. I wish you the best. I also have a daughter in college, and she's, not struggling, but wrestling with all the great possibilities that's out there for you in life and all the different routes that you can go. So I thank you for your time. And Kevin and Susan, if I can ever do anything for you with the students here in the future or answer any questions, just let me know. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Sean. That was great, and really appreciate your perseverance, and so glad we were able to hear from you today. Kevin, did any questions come in for Sean and the sales side?
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
All right, great. Sean, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And up next, the departments that we've heard from so far certainly require technical expertise. You've heard a lot about the professional and soft skills as well that are required. The next two departments, our final two departments that we're going to hear from, if you're interested in STEM or STEAM or whatever it's called now, it might have even changed since the last time I looked it up. But if you're interested in the more technical science, data type of classes, these are the departments you definitely want to hear from. So first, we're going to hear from Cecilia and Ryan in our actuarial department. So I'll hand it over to you guys.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for having us here today, and I'm really excited to talk about the actuarial department. Ryan and I are going to split it up in half and half. We realized that after kind of having a meeting before that there are different paths in actuary alone. So we continue to talk about all these different paths where insurance can take you, but just specifically in actuary, there are two different paths. So I'm going to talk more about the property and casualty side of things, while Ryan will take over from there after. So my name is Cecilia Ducar, and I work as an actuarial assistant at Glatfelter Insurance Group. I graduated from Seton Hill University just in December of 2018. So I've been with Glatfelter since 2019. And from Seton Hill, I graduated with a mathematics and actuarial science degree. So it's kind of funny actually hearing everyone saying they kind of fall into insurance or just wherever their paths line up. But when it comes to actuary, you pretty much know you're going to be in the insurance field when it comes down to it. When I knew I wanted to do actuary about my senior year of high school, took college to major in that specifically, and then knew I was going to come out on the other end of that in an insurance field. We just had a actuarial seminar, and there were actuaries at like Uber and Lyft, so in the auto industry, but I would have to say specifically you are going to be in the insurance field. So maybe what is an actuary? As we kind of went along, a lot of people were saying claims, sales, underwriting, and things that you specifically do here with insurance. But thank you, Mike, for actually giving a shout out to actuarial department on one of his slides. So the career path might not be extremely common to many of you, but if you Google a nice definition for that, it is actuaries use math and statistics to estimate the financial impact of uncertainty and help the company to minimize risk. So we continually hear the word risk with insurance and everything, but in the end, essentially actuaries are the ones that are helping to use this data that Susan was just saying, more on the technical side of things, and math to help calculate the best insurance risks. There's also reserving that takes place, which means we are reserving or putting aside a specific amount of money to make sure that we can pay those claims for the claims department, for everyone else, and just to have that go smoothly. To kind of go along with my high school career specifically, I enjoyed taking the higher math level classes. So I took Calc 1 as a junior, Calc 2 as a senior, and then I also took a statistics class in my junior year of high school as well. And I will talk about that in a little bit, but it helps with some of the actuarial exams that need to be taken. So I think once I challenged myself with a lot of higher level math classes in high school, that just more prepared me for majoring in math in college. So one of my pieces of advice I had at first was, if your high school offers any programming or Excel classes, I think that would be something great to have. There are many online Excel classes as well through other different programs. If your specific school or high school or college doesn't have anything like that, you can definitely buy something online to help you. 90% of my workday, I would have to say, is in front of an Excel worksheet. So if you can know all the ins and outs of that, that would be really beneficial for this field. Just as well as some programming languages like SQL and R are specifically SQL that I have worked in. I took more of those classes, I would say, in college, but if that's something you know you want to pursue, now is the great time to also look into that and keep learning. When it comes into personality traits, Ryan is also going to touch upon this by saying that I think a good actuary, when I was writing this down, the 4 that just came to mind right away is pretty similar to what everyone else had to say with in the other departments. So I have inquisitive, curious, eager, and resilient. So as everyone said, it's kind of like a puzzle piece, or it's kind of like a puzzle that you're trying to put together all the ins and outs and try to get to a nice solution in the end. So I think just always being inquisitive, eager to learn. That's what everybody has been saying, is you're going for continuing education and you're continuing to learn and be eager in your department in order to do better, and resilience. So that definitely comes in the tough exam process that does take place with actuary. So as we talk about the requirements and certifications you need, I would say that actuary is kind of interesting in the sense that you don't have to get your master's, such as some other mathematical fields specifically can go into a master's program with data analytics, with anything more like that, getting your PhD in math or teaching math or engineering and things like that. But when it came to actuary, there are about 7 professional exams that you need to take before getting your first designation, which on my side of things, with Glatfelter's being property and casualty, is the ACAS, which is the Associate of the Casualty Actuarial Society. And along the way, there are other courses that you need to take, seminars to attend, and credits to achieve as well on top of those exams. So you can definitely see that this field and this department has a lot of the continuing ed that is very necessary. No high schooler is at that point expected to have any exams passed. That's really in college. So then my next advice would be, if you are interested in this field and want to go into that for college, it would be really beneficial for you to go to a college that has an actual program itself. That would usually those programs at colleges try to help you and gear towards the exam process already. So there's introductory exams, one on probability and one on financial mathematics. And usually those are what you're able to take during college because they have specific courses generated specifically for those exams. So I would have to say future employers after college would like to see 1 exam passed in your college career, and that would set you on a great track. But as you're working and continuing taking those exams, you get paid study hours a lot out of a lot of companies. So they are able to pay you during the workday in order to study because they are helping you to achieve these designations and they really want to see you pursue that. And that's what my normal workday looks like, as everyone else was saying, 8:15 to 5, which are our normal hours with some overtime thrown in there. This includes just group work, meetings, projects, and studying. Just to end it, of why I specifically like Glatfelter's is because our department doesn't specialize in one thing, meaning I work with all programs, as everyone has listed, in all lines of business, and all pricing, rate making, reserving. Sometimes at larger companies, they would have specific actuaries just doing management liability or just doing one program or just doing pricing or just doing reserving. So I like that I have a taste of everything, and like what everyone has been saying, you really feel like you do truly matter in the grand scheme of things. So that was just the property and casualty side of things. So Ryan can take it over for the other half.
Yeah. My name is Ryan Griffith, and I work on really our pension program, our pension-like program called LOSAP, the Length of Service Award program for our volunteer firefighters. My career path is a little bit different, actually. I was a math and physics teacher for 10 years. So I went to Messiah College. I graduated in 2007 with a bachelor's degree in math and have a master's in education. As Cecilia said, totally not necessary for the actuarial field, but I work in more of a consulting role. So it has been helpful. To her point, I went through school. I had no intention of being an actuary. I was going to be a teacher my whole life. So I didn't take as many stats courses, computer programming. I didn't have any SQL. So that is a great piece of advice that she gave. If you're specifically interested in actuarial field, definitely hit up the statistics and the programming courses that are available to you. And just to kind of echo off of some points that other people have made, being a former teacher, very familiar with your age group, worked with a lot of juniors and seniors. And the advice I always gave my classes, and I'll give you guys, is don't close any doors on yourself. If you're exploring different fields, not that you can't do it later, not that you can't go get those courses, but it's harder when you have a family. And I have 4 kids and a wife, and so I'm taking these exams that Cecilia got to take in college with a full family, and I was taking some extra courses, some college courses that I didn't take because this wasn't the career path I originally chose. The more you take as a high school student, as a college student, the more opportunities you leave open to yourself, and make it a little easier on yourself. But just to kind of feed off of what Cecilia said, so there are 2 sides to the actuarial field in particular. There's the Casualty Actuarial Society, the CAS. That's what Cecilia works in, property and casualty. And then there's the SOA, the Society of Actuaries. That is your life insurance, your health insurance, anything retirement benefits, so pension programs, investments. They do all of that. And I happen to be on the SOA side, honestly, just because when I Googled actuarial, that's what popped up. But I love working with the pensions. Being a teacher, I was familiar with that. And so I really enjoy that. So I taught for 10 years. I actually worked in health insurance as an actuarial associate for 2 years. And then I've been 2 years here at Glatfelter working on the pension program. And just to I'm going to hit some of the same questions. So as far as personality traits, I would say there's almost 2 types of actuaries. There are some actuaries who are more the introvert, and they really enjoy just spending the whole day working on Excel, working on systems. Coming from a teaching background, I knew going into it, I wouldn't be happy just working on a computer all day. That just wasn't me. Not that I'm an extrovert, I'm probably slightly more introvert, but I really enjoy being out, meeting with people, explaining the math. So that is a skill set that within that field, there is a need for, where you can be not just the one doing the math, but also the one explaining the math to be it underwriters. For me, it's clients, about explaining how they're funding their pensions and why we're doing things the way that we're doing them. So again, being that consultant versus that, more in the company, actuarial. So kind of feeding off that, my schedule is a little bit more varied. So I'm in the office, I would say probably 3 days a week. Not right now, but normally about 3 days a week, 8:15 to 5, pretty standard. The other 2 days a week or so, I'm usually out on the road, traveling the country, meeting with our different plan sponsors and agents, and trying to take a very complex concept of funding a pension program and explain it in layman's terms for the people we work with. So I get some of those same some of the same things I enjoyed about teaching, where we're trying to help people understand the math, trying to simplify it. I always call them those light bulb moments. That's kind of what you live for as a teacher. Same thing as a consulting actuary, trying to see that moment where it clicks for the person. Just kind of scrolling through these questions here. So the workday we talked about. I'll keep it short. Just to echo what everybody else has said. When I was teaching, I felt a lot of purpose. I think people go into teaching mostly for that purpose of educating the next generation. Great respect for your teachers. Hope you all are kind to them. Then I went actually into the healthcare field. I was working with CEOs and CFOs all day, and it was fun. But I lost that purpose a little bit. And so coming to Glatfelter, getting to work with volunteer firefighters on their pension programs, it's for me, it's about purpose. That's what I love about it. I enjoy the mathematics. I enjoy explaining it. It was a skill I felt like I was blessed with and wanted to use in my life. But it's really about how are you serving the people that are serving our communities, and that's the passion that I feel. Even though I'm not really in insurance so much, as Cecilia said, 90% of actuaries probably are. There are some opportunities outside of insurance as well, and I would be one of those, where I work for an insurance company but on a pension program. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. And finally, we'll hear from Andrew Knight, who is a senior programmer and analyst in our applications subdepartment of the IT department. I can tell you that I've worked in a number of different sectors. I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in manufacturing, I've worked in post-secondary education, and by far, we have just a phenomenal and very impressive and innovative IT team here at Glatfelter. So I'm going to hand things over to Andrew to tell you about what our information technology department does.
All right, thank you so much. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah, and so I'm Andrew. I'm a senior programmer at Glatfelter Insurance Group. I've been here for 10 years. I actually went right out of college into an internship at Glatfelter, and I'm there ever since. It's a place that I didn't think I would end up in, but once I was there, I love what I do. I love the people I work with, and it's just been great. So I'm going to talk about the IT side of things. And the beauty about IT is that we're living in a day and age where you can use IT to do pretty much anything. At Glatfelter, we'll talk about it in the aspects of insurance, but you can take this to any company and you can use IT skills. And so that is the beauty of this. All right. So the first thing I want to do is kind of narrow down like what is IT, right? I mean, IT is a variety of things. Maybe the first thing that you think of is like the support desk. Like someone will call the support desk if like their software isn't working or their hardware isn't working. That's definitely a part of it. That might be the most common thing that you might be familiar with right now. But it actually breaks down even further. We have a team that handles networking and the infrastructure like servers and computers. We have a security department that just focuses on making sure that we don't get hacked through like email phishing or somebody entering our network when they shouldn't. They even help prevent us from accessing things that we shouldn't internally too. Like there are certain files I can't access in the actuarial department, for example. This is all part of security, okay? Then you have the developers, and I'm partial to the developers because I myself am a developer. So I'll camp on this for just a second. The beauty about software development is that it gives you the ability to be creative in any way that you want to be. If you're a software developer, you can think of an idea and you can make it a practical solution. I've had, outside of Glatfelter, I've had the opportunity to work with a startup of friends. We've built gym management systems. I've built a medical record system, and I've traveled to India to implement it. And at Glatfelter, we write web portals for our insurance agents. But it's such a flexible area, and you can actually take your creativity and you can turn it into something that is truly special, all on your own, and with a close team of individuals. And also in IT, we have a group of analysts that we call business analysts. They work with the business and IT, and they translate the tech side and the business side to help us create some requirement documents that we can use to build the tools to the best of our ability for the business. So personality, I'm not going to touch on this too much because this is a lot of recap of what we've already heard. But being analytical is important, adaptable. As you know, technology is always changing. In high school, you are probably have a better understanding about certain technology than I do, like when it comes to the phone. And I don't know, like I hear about TikTok. I don't even know what TikTok is. Snapchat, my sister loves it, but she's 9 years younger than me. I don't get it, but I mean, it's a thing. But you see people that are like social media influencers that are understanding how these things work. I couldn't do that, but so I say you probably know some more than I do. But technology is always changing. You have to be persistent. Just like anything else in life, you don't want to give up. You want to continue to put your best foot forward. You have to be inquisitive, ask questions, seek to understand, and most importantly, you have to be a team player, right? No matter where you go, you need to be able to work well with people, because even if you spend some time working on your own, there's going to be a point where you need to come together and you need to work with others. So I encourage you grow that skill. High school and college classes, again, we're living in a world of technology. So you already have a baseline starting into what I would consider IT. What's important? I think the big thing is you need to understand yourself. A lot of times we say we need to take certain courses, but the problem is that we don't always understand ourselves and how we learn in the best way. And I think that, to me, college is important because you can earn a degree, but I think the biggest benefit to college is that it puts you in a situation where you begin to learn more about yourself, and you get to learn more about how you can learn new things in the best way. And that sets you up for the rest of your life. In high school, I would say grow your problem solving skills. Through math classes, if you have options to take like computer programming classes, that would be a good one. College, based on your area of interest, it's going to depend. If you are going into programming, obviously you'd want to take some programming classes, but then some people are more interested in like user interaction and user interface design. Some are more interested in like algorithms and using advanced math. You might be into like service and support. So maybe you learn how to work with other people and provide support to others. But I would say that for me, I actually learned the most outside of school. And that's just because I had a desire to learn. And I think that that's the case with IT, really, is that getting a college degree is going to make you look good on paper when you go to apply, especially at an entry level. But the real value that you're going to bring typically comes from the time that you've invested outside of school on your own to learn new things, the people that you surround yourself with. The best thing to do is to surround yourself with people that are more experienced than you, because you never want to be the smartest person in your circle. You always want to put yourself in a position where you're forced to grow. And that really, I believe, is the key. Degrees and certificates. Usually, if you want to get into an IT job, you don't need a college degree. If you want to go into like a service and support area, typically you can do that right away. If you want to become a programmer, or you want to go into like security, typically there are degrees that you have to get in order to enter those job markets. But really, what really matters is what you know, your experience, and your ability to learn and work with others. If I was a hiring manager and I had somebody with a bachelor's degree that it looks good on paper, but they didn't know their stuff, and then I had somebody without a bachelor's degree that had a resume of things that they've built and they can prove that to me, I would go with the person that knows what they're doing over the person with the degree. So you really just have to be able to show that you know your stuff. Let me try to skip through here. How to get a job. I'm going to stress the internships. And I say that because a lot of times at an entry level, there might be a company that you want to work for, but it would be hard to apply to a job at that company and get in, especially if it's a well-known company and you're applying for the first time and you don't have any experience under your name. So that's why internships are really important, because you can find one of those companies and you can say, I want to work for you to gain experience, either with no compensation or very limited compensation. And if you can take that opportunity to shine at an internship, you can turn that potentially into a career at that company. So an internship is a really important backdoor. And so I think that's extremely important to keep in mind as you look to move on after high school. What's a typical work week? At Glatfelter in IT, we have a 7:15 to 4 and an 8:15 to 5 option. We have to provide support for associates that start early and support for associates that work later. So you'll see two different ranges there. But today, there are actually a lot of employees that are starting to work remotely. And this isn't just at Glatfelter, this is in general, you're seeing this. And especially with COVID-19, this has become more prevalent because it's forced people to do this. And there have been some companies that may not have been comfortable having a large workforce work remotely up until COVID-19, but that's forced them to realize that maybe some of the fears that they had were not as founded as they thought they may be, and that this is actually working out pretty well for a lot of companies. So I think you're going to begin to see more and more of that. And lastly, before I finish, I'm just going to finish with a very general personal statement, and that is that no matter where you go, no matter what job you decide to take, whether it's IT or something else, it's extremely important, I feel, to work on your leadership skills, because leaders are people who see possibilities when others see limitations. And if you can be the person to see possibilities, that's going to shine pretty much anywhere you go. And if you can lead people, I'm not talking about management, right? Management's one thing, but a leadership is when you can have people recognize that you can take them somewhere, and anybody can do that. So I really encourage you to grow yourself as a leader. And one of the things that I want to leave with you is that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So if you can care for people, if you can invest in people, that is going to send you so much further than any particular skill could, because that's what gets people to huddle around you, and what really allows you to invest and to grow and branch yourself out further into the company. So with that, I'll turn it over for any questions that you have.
Sorry, at this point, we don't have any questions that have been typed in.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much. If you have any general questions, we'll just open things up for a moment and wait to see if anyone has any questions about Glatfelter in general, or insurance, or any of the departments that you heard from today.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything come in. I know a couple students had to scoot because I think we didn't want to cut into their lunchtime, because I know that's especially nowadays, it's a very regimented time that they have to eat.
Sure.
But no, I just once again want to say thank you to everyone that was able to join today and contribute to this. It's you know, again, you look at it's great to have that awareness, and I'm sure a lot of people have driven by and seen your building, and now they kind of understand all the different things that are going on in and outside of the building to make things work and to serve the clients and to serve the community. So thank you all for that. Really, really appreciate it. Hopefully this is very educational and informative for everyone.
Great. Yep. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.